Valhalla, our reward for dying in battle. But what of those who die elsewhere? The Valkyries. A warrior order who have made a deal with the gods. Each one can earn glory for our fallen dead. In time, they can win a place for the deserving, but they alone decide for whom they fight. Masters of the spear and shield, scouts, trackers, and perhaps your only hope for salvation.
Ah, the Valkyrie. See, here we have the complete opposite of the Warlord, in my opinion. With Warlord, he had the most amazingly versatile weapon set that I could think of, and they didn't do anything with it. But here we have a weapon set that I struggle to see the versatility of, and somehow Valkyrie finds it. Here's the thing. Valkyrie used to be pretty bad as a hero. In fact, very few people played her when she first came out because her heavies were way too slow, were difficult to combo, and you couldn't combo one heavy after another. A lot of people thought of her as a joke. Then suddenly she gets this whole new upgrade, she gets a total rework, and now she's one of the most devastating warriors in all of For Honor. In fact, I get kind of scared whenever I see I'm up against one, because their lights come out so fast, their fighting style is so complex, they're tough to read. I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll talk more about that when we get to playstyle. But for now, let's talk about who she is. What is the Valkyrie? Well, if you look at Norse mythology, the term Valkyrie refers to Odin's warrior maidens. It was believed that Odin had these women warriors called the Valkyrie, who, if a human warrior, died honorably on the battlefield, the Valkyrie would come down and take his soul off to Valhalla, where they would be free to drink and battle and have all the fun they want until the end times come. But the Valkyrie were supposed to be incredibly skilled warriors, incredibly beautiful warriors. If you've ever seen an opera or seen the stereotypical opera Viking lady who sings, they often say it's not over till the fat lady sings. That's a reference to the Valkyrie. Now, the Valkyrie weren't necessarily fat, but that's where it comes from. So, what about this? Is this chick a human called a Valkyrie anywhere in history? Actually, yes. There were shield maidens in Norse culture. They were women who were trained as warriors, and they didn't really go off to fight so much as they did stay home and protect the homestead. But there was no question they were likely very skilled warriors, and judging from the way this girl looks, I'd definitely say, yeah, this is probably a shield maiden, but just renamed Valkyrie to fit with Norse culture. In the trailer, you saw them actually allude to the Valkyries. For what they basically say here is that this order of women who have called themselves Valkyries have made a deal with the gods so that in case someone dies off the battlefield, they didn't die with honor, then the Valkyrie could go out and fight for them and gain honor for them on the battlefield. And why is that a big deal? Well, according to Norse mythology, if you didn't die with honor, you were called one of the dishonorable dead, and you went to Helheim, which is a place of endless suffering. It's just what it sounds like. It's hell, Only, according to Norse mythology, it's frozen instead of on fire. But the Valkyrie would go out in this lore and say, all right, these people do not have an honorable death, so we're going to earn it for them by fighting in their stead, which is pretty cool. Not historically accurate, pretty cool, and it ties into the Valkyrie ideal. So what do I think of when I think of Valkyrie? I think of a women's rights activist who would punch the modern feminist in the face. No, in all seriousness, she's tough. This woman is really, really tough. When she was a kid, she didn't have time for dresses or dolls because she was too busy playing baseball in the backyard with the guys. When she was told that she pitched like a girl, she responded by pitching the ball right into the other dude's teeth, which is where she gets her crazy javelin throwing abilities. She's the girl that if you took her out on a date, she would arm wrestle you to decide who pays for it, and she would probably win 9 times out of 10. She doesn't have to demand for equal rights. She gets it anyway. That's just how tough and hardcore the Valkyrie is. Of all the female characters in For Honor, I find her to be one of the most hardcore, one of the toughest, and yet still beautiful. Alright, so now that we've introduced the Valkyrie, let's talk about her armor and weapons. So, armor first. I'm going to tell you right off, I dig the armor. We've got some tight leather cuirass that covers the chest and breast area. Shoulder protectors made out of fur and what looks like some metal and leather plating up there, which is very nice. I like that protection. You got some greaves on the bottom here, or at least shin guards, I think. Yeah, those look more like shin guards, which is nice. I haven't seen those out of the Viking quite yet. And look at this gauntlet on her right hand. That looks like a ram skull covering that. That's kind of hardcore. Now, as for the helmet, I want to zoom in on the helmet here. Full face protection helmet. This would be excellent protection against most kinds of blades and attacks. The only problem I have is the length of her hair here. That's awfully long. If an enemy manages to get hold of her hair, they could incapacitate her possibly. They could hurt her in a serious way. Better to keep that hair shorter. Now, that's her armor, though. What about her weapon? Well, let's take a look at her weapon. She uses an ancient but very effective combination of the shield and spear. Now, the spear itself is a fundamentally awesome weapon. It's one of the first weapons that I think mankind ever produced. You know, you take a long stick and you put a sharp point at the end, be it a rock or piece of metal. We've been using spears since ancient times. I actually have a spear of my own. The idea behind the spear is it keeps an enemy at a distance. You can hold it one-handed or two-handed and just thrust at the enemy. The negative of the spear is that it is a thrusting weapon. It doesn't have a lot of power in slashing. It can, but it's more effective in the thrust. But that's not too bad, because thrusting can be a very effective means of controlling an enemy's distance and keeping them away from you. And if they manage to get around your spear somehow, the Valkyrie comes equipped with a small shield. Now, my first thought was that this shield is a buckler, but a lot of people are probably going to say, oh, but wasn't the buckler shield that the gladiator carried, wasn't that a buckler? Well, yes, but I think that this is a larger variation. Either way, it's a small round shield. It would not be good for full body protection, but it doesn't have to be. It's light enough that she can move it around her body quickly and easily to block an incoming attack, and it does its defensive job very well. And like all shield heroes, she does come with a shield bash, but again, we'll come to that. The best way to use this shield and spear combination is to, like I said, thrust with that spear, keeping the enemy at a distance by swinging it or thrusting it, and if an enemy gets around, use that shield to keep them at bay and leap back to gain more distance. The Valkyrie wants to be a warrior who gets in close. Forgive me, she wants to keep the fight at a distance. She doesn't want to get in close. She wants to keep her opponent away from her. So, now that we've talked about this Valkyrie, before we get on to the game style, let's talk about what mine looks like. This is my Valkyrie. I made a few changes. The armor's a little bit tighter, a little bit more ornamented, but just as protective. The shin guards down here have fur over them, but also metal plating. I thought that'd be better protection. We've lost the gauntlet thing with the ram head, but I like the shoulder protection here. It's still nice. But what I really like are the spear and shield. I mean, look at these. These are very ornamented. I really love the look for them. But I think what we really need to look at is the helmet. Notice that on the back of the helmet, I've made the hair a lot shorter. That'd be much better for a fight. The helmet is also more ornamented. I like this helmet for both reasons. It looks really, really cool. And yes, I did add this horn ornament. And in actual history, no, horns were not on Viking helmets. That is a myth that has been popularized. But like I said, with the Raider and the Berserker and the Warlord, we're going to forgive it here because for honor logic, and it looks cool. So now that we've finally talked about the Valkyrie's history, we've talked about who the Valkyrie is, we talked about her armor and weapon set, which I think are really, really cool. Let's talk about how she fights. Valkyrie has a 3-hit combo limit, and the combo can be in any order she wants. Her lights are incredibly fast and can be done in quick succession, while her heavies are pretty slow and can be easily blocked if you see them coming, like so. It's never a good idea to go 3 heavies in a row because very few are going to hit, if any, and odds are pretty good they'll just get parried. Now, you can feint a heavy attack into a shield bash, which is very helpful. I do enjoy that. Now, of course, Valkyrie can drop back into an all-guard stance to do her shield bash. Like I said, all shield heroes can do this, but it does cost her stamina. You can see it slowly running out. And when I release, she can do a shield bash, which is awesome. That charge can really help open up, and any shield bash grants a free light. Now, this just alone already makes Valkyrie an incredibly versatile and complex warrior to use. I mean, just her ability to mix things up in such unique ways makes her a great contender to be reckoned with anyway.
But I'm not done yet!
She also has an assassin-style deflect ability. If you dodge into an opponent's attack at the right moment and do a heavy attack, you'll stab your opponent with your spear, as we'll demonstrate. This does cause some moderate bleed. It's quick, and I find it very easy to use. Let's do it again. Yeah, I very rarely have any trouble pulling this off. It's very much like an assassin, and it works wonderfully. So already, these are some more great ways that the Valkyrie makes herself a dangerous competitor on the battlefield.
But wait! There's more! Hang on to your seat, baby! Cause this one's a screamer!
Perhaps the most famous move of the Valkyries is her leg sweep. How you go about this move is actually very cool. You can do it on the third move of any combo. I personally like to do a heavy attack first because it can't be interrupted, and then do a light and then sweep the leg. Another way you can do it is you can do a heavy shield bash light and then knock them on their butt. That move is excellent. It's a great way to knock a person on the ground, but hey, that's not all you can do. Once you get them on the ground, you can hit the heavy attack button real quick to do some considerable damage with a heavy attack and stab them while they're on the ground. If they do fall on the ground, there's no way they can dodge it. Now, granted, the leg sweep can be dodged, but it takes great timing to do, and if your player is being overwhelmed by your attacks, they're not even going to think about it. But the nice thing is, when it hits, and you can easily keep spamming this on your opponent to drive them crazy. You won't be liked, but you're playing Valkyrie. You're not liked much by anybody anyway. Is there anything bad to say about Valkyrie? Her heavy attacks are pretty slow and easy to block. Yeah. So, quite often it's not a good idea to always start with them. They're usually pretty easy to see coming. That's why I recommend mixing up your attacks and aiming more for just killing over getting the execution. People are going to complain that you're a light spammer, but hey, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Quite frankly, when your heavy attacks come out that slowly, you got to work with what you got. Choosing what I like to do with Valkyrie, and I think this is the best advice I can give. Valkyrie requires you to be strategic. You want to pick a goal. If your goal is to deflect for a stab bleed, then what you want to do is throw in a few heavies to taunt your opponent into striking and then deflect on their reaction. If your goal is to get a ground stab, then throw in a single heavy just to get your opponent guessing. If they parry it, don't worry about it. Throw that light, then a heavy, and then catch them. The goal is to pick your aim. Pick what it is you want to do to your opponent, and then throw a mix-up that allows you to get to it. Don't get greedy. Don't just spam moves over and over again. Pick your game plan. But anyway, that's about all there is to Valkyrie and her moveset, which is practically a Swiss Army knife. She reminds me a lot of the Lawbringer in that regard. But let's talk about her executions. Okay, folks, so we're almost done with the Valkyrie. Let's go into her executions now. We're grading it the same way as always. So without further ado, because I'm really excited, let's take a look at the Valkyrie's executions. Decisive leap.
You're going nowhere.
Ooh. That is pretty cool. Now, normally I'd be upset that she's disarming herself here, but considering that she's using a spear, which is a weapon that can be used to throw, and she's holding on to her shield for defensive purposes, I'll forgive it. This reminds me of that Peacekeeper execution, but I think this one makes a little bit more sense, because it is throwing like a javelin, which is really, really awesome. So, yeah, I think that this one works really well. Jumping on top of him is probably unnecessary, but it's still cool. Gets cool points for that. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. Definite 9 out of 10 for that. I like it.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
Shield trip. One more time. Okay, catching the shield like that was really, really awesome. I love that. That is pretty stinking cool. So, cool points for that. But, Remember how I said that I got mad when she disarmed herself earlier? Well, this time she gave up her shield. For the sake of a trip, which he could have dodged if given the opportunity. And if he dodged and managed to get hold of her, now you have no defensive tool. That's got to lose some points. But the cool factor will save it a little bit. I'll give this one a 7 out of 10 because it's fast, it's cool, but you gave up your shield for the sake of a trip that might not have worked. Still deadly, so yeah, 7 out of 10 I think is fair. Harpooned.
Why are we still here? Just
Oh God. One more time. Oh, that's terrifying. And look at his body. That's so sick. Oh, it's nasty. Oh, 10 out of 10. That's a definite 10 out of 10. That is so brutal. I mean, okay, first of all, you stabbed through the neck. He's dead, but to add insult to injury by breaking his neck. Oh, I can't watch it again. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. Warrior meets Horn. Okay, so cutting open the belly is fine. Blowing the horn. Shoving it in the throat. And listen closely to the sound that it makes. That's so stupid. It's got to lose some points. It's a little too memey. But it is deadly. Shoving a horn into the throat would be deadly. And yes, if you were wondering, this is a feat execution. Valkyrie does have a horn feat that is pretty cool. It's just so unnecessary. It's goofy. It's clearly being silly. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. That's the best I'll give it. It's funny. I think it's really silly, but yeah, 7 out of 10. Shield grab. Oh, okay. Again? I'll press X to doubt on that one. I don't know if that would kill anybody. So knocks him down, slams her foot down on top of the shield to crush his head, I guess. Here, let's look at it from the other perspective. Wait, did she destroy the head? Okay, good, she did. I was about to say that would have lost points definitely. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10 because I just don't think that would kill anybody. I think that's cool, but I don't know if that would kill. The shield is blunting the blow a little bit, so I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Press X to doubt. Get the horns. No. Sorry, no, that one doesn't work for me. This one's a 3 out of 10. Headbutting is not necessarily a bad thing to do in a fight, but doing it repeatedly like that, thank goodness she has a helmet on. Because people don't realize this. You see headbutting a lot in movies and stuff, and I'm not saying it's not an effective strategy, but you risk hurting your own head. You're slamming your skull into someone else's. Plus, I'll be real honest, I don't know how well her helmet would hold up to a steel helmet, because that looks bronze. Or iron, but whatever the case, in this instance, it's not effective. I would not recommend it. It just shows that she's hard-headed, and doing it that frequently would actually do damage to her as well. I can't recommend this. So yeah, that's my stance on it. Sportive knockout. Wow, boy, is that familiar. Yeah, that looks like the Lawbringer's execution when he knocks him for a loop. But it's really cool. I love the stylization of it. Can we see it from the other perspective? Ooh, that is nice. I like it. Okay, so, how do I call it? I'll give it 8 out of 10. That's a pretty good kill. It breaks the neck. It sends them flying. It's really, really cool. Fast, too. I like that. Yeah, okay. 8 out of 10 works. Through and through. Okay, translated, that meant nothing but death awaits you here. Okay, that's pretty cool. I don't like the way she threw it. That is an awful way to throw a spear. Throwing it backhanded like that, it can't guarantee a good hit from a distance. Luckily, he was close enough that it went through, but you get more power from holding it right. So that'll lose points. But yeah, not bad. It's deadly, I guess. Where's it placed? Let me see that again. Okay, it's going just below where the vital organs are, so this would not kill right away. It would kill, but just not right away. 6 out of 10. I'll give it a 6 out of 10 because the throw is bad and the placement isn't that great, but it is deadly and it does get some style points, so I don't hate it. Just better placement needed and better throw needed. No touching. Oh no. Okay guys, time to tell you some history about For Honor. This execution right here, no touching, used to be amazing. It used to be one of my favorite executions in For Honor until they ruined it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what the original execution looked like.
Oopsie, my hand slipped.
You'll regret you have hands!
Okay, now that you've seen what the original execution looked like, compare. Doesn't this just look stupid now? Originally, he accidentally grabbed her breasts, okay? And I guess you could say, oh, but it's sexual harassment. Whatever. This is a game where we have skulls exploding, we have blood flying everywhere, we have impalement, we have ball shots, but, ooh, accidentally touching Valkyrie's breast. He dies for it. She kills him for it. He gets a ball shot for it. Oh, we can't have him grab her breast, but we can sure have his ding-a-ling get destroyed. Yeah, I don't like that at all. This one gets a 2 out of 10 because they ruined what could have been a hysterically good execution. This could have been a great execution. Plus, I'm going to be real honest, this isn't deadly. Ball shot and then headshot, I don't buy that as deadly. I just see it as a sucker punch. So yeah, 2 out of 10. Sad to me that they went there. I'm sorry. This could have been amazing. This could have been such a funny execution. Judgment call.
No, don't do it.
Okay, that is awesome. One more time on that. I love that she threw it into his hands right as they were coming up. It's a little choreographed, so it's got to lose a few points, but moving in like that, and I love the camera work. Look at the camera work. Looks away right as she does it. Let's see that from the other perspective. I'm curious. Oh, that's so awful. I love it, though. I love it. Okay, that's a 9 out of 10. I have to take away 1 point because that throw to the hands was a little choreographed, but 9 out of 10 I think is fair to this one. It's a good one. Spearfishing. Oh my gosh. That's great. The placement of the spear is great, but I love how he keeps hitting her shield. And look at her expression as she does. Like, look at her head. Like, just looks away, almost like disgusted, like, really? Are we really doing this right now? It fits her personality very well. It shows dominance, shows strength, shows how tough she is. And then slamming the spear butt down at the end, that's a 10 out of 10. This is a 10 out of 10 execution. I love it. Val the Impaler. Ooh, that's pretty nasty. See it again? The placement of the spear is good. Pulling it out, good. Okay. I'll give that a 10 out of 10. That's pretty gross, pretty awesome. I like how it's called Val the Impaler. Obvious reference to Vlad the Impaler, but doesn't look as good as what the Lawbringer did. I noticed there's a lot of similarities between Lawbringer and Valkyrie, but 10 out of 10. Get to the chopper. What the heck was that? How did you take the head off? No. Absolutely not. 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10. There are some moments where I say, okay, you took the head off a little too easily. Here, I don't know how she took the head off. She just struck him in the side of the head and it somehow came off. No. In order to take a head off with a spear, you need to not only have a strong sideways hit or a strong thrust, but it needs to be direct. Just doing it backhanded like that, that's a 3 out of 10. I do not like that. And I don't even get the name, like, Get to the Chopper. Is this an Arnold Schwarzenegger reference? I don't understand. Plant their flag. Okay, it's pretty basic, but I like it. Pretty cool. Knock down. Good. Strike to the chest. Very good. All right, that's a 9 out of 10. It doesn't get as many style points because we've seen these kind of strikes to the chest before, but yeah, I think that's fine. 9 out of 10. Oh, event execution. Trick shot. Ooh, basic but good. This runs like playing pool. Nice. I'll give it a 7 out of 10 because doing the spear from that angle on your shoulder and holding your hand that way, I don't know if it would go through flesh that easy. But it's still cool. I like it. It's got style points. So, yeah. Yeah, I'll stand by that. Yeah. Moving on. Aim for the head. Well, in this case, you kind of aimed more for the throat, didn't you? But it works. I believe that. Look at this. Earlier I was complaining about, hey, you can't take off a head that easily. Well, look at this. She didn't take off the head. She struck the throat. Points for that. I'll give this a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. That's better than what I saw earlier. 9 out of 10. I like it. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. That is all the Valkyrie executions. So, final thoughts on the Valkyrie. Of all the warriors in For Honor, and I am including the Lawbringer in this, she's one of the most versatile you can come up with. But the key with her versatility is you need to have a goal in mind. When you go into the battlefield, analyze your opponent. This is one of the reasons why I play all the characters in For Honor and not just main one. Because I want to understand each opponent's playstyle. How are they going to use their warriors the best? What techniques and styles are they going to have? With Valkyrie, if you can analyze your opponent's style and know the arsenal at your command, you can come up with a direction and strategy to beat them. She's a very strategical warrior. She is a tough, strong, independent woman. She is. I have pulled off some miracles with Valkyrie. I wish I could say that she was one of my best warriors. She's not, but that should just go to show that even though she's not one of my best, I can still find ways to work well with her. She's great for intermediate players. If you're a beginner, she might be a little bit much for you, but trust me, she's well worth learning. She's well worth figuring out. Valkyrie's a lot of fun. Just always know to take your time with her. Don't rush or press your attack. Don't be too aggressive, because you'll find that quite often it wears out your stamina too quickly and you can often be caught off guard by an enemy. So best strategy, be patient, meticulous, and strategic. But ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up all of the OG heroes of the Viking faction. But as before, the For Honor devs added 3 DLC heroes. 3 new heroes by season. So, tune in next time when we look at the very first of those, coming all the way from Scotland, one of my boys, one of my favorites, Highlander. We'll see you then.